UFC Mexico City just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. I'll start with the first fight of the night and then work my way up to the main event. Make sure you guys smash that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Starting the card off, we had Naimov versus Erik Silva. It was a lightning quick fight. Anticlimactic because 2 seconds in, it's already over. Erik Silva ended up getting injured. Naimov was going to knock him out anyways. The fight went exactly as I guess it should have. I just thought Naimov would probably flatline him with a punch, not like Silva getting touched and like falling back and like hurting his meniscus or knee. I don't know the exact injury now. Naimov, he's climbing up the ranks. I mean, this was a tomato can compared to Nathaniel Wood, and that's the truth. Erik Silva, he's got okay subs, but he's really not shown that he's even UFC level. His only other UFC fight is a loss of TJ Brown, who got cut. We might be looking at Erik Silva on the chopping block too, but maybe because he got injured, they'll give him one more shine. Naimov, easy work. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we had Felipe dos Santos and Victor Altamirano. I kind of feel like Felipe dos Santos' stock went from like, yo, he did really good against Manuel Cop to he probably won a controversial decision. I mean, not probably, he did. Yes, dos Santos may have done a bit more in the striking department, but Altamirano was very consistent with landing a lot of takedowns. I know it's the damage trumps all scoring, and it seemed like the judges were 100% on that mentality tonight, at least most of them. Felipe dos Santos, he threw decent shots. He looked quick, but he's getting taken down all the time. Got to take the damn Zin out. It's getting me too much of a Zin rush as I'm talking here. I think Felipe dos Santos is solid. I think he's got a lot of potential, but he's 23. Altamirano, the crowd was behind him. The Mexican people were disappointed. Dos Santos ends up getting a win, but like, let's pump the brakes on how far we're running him up the ranks. Dos Santos is 23. We should treat him as a 23-year-old if you're interested in letting him build a bit. Because if not, he's going to compile some losses. He's got a good 8-1 record right now, and he had a gutsy performance against Manuel Cop because he's tough. But you imagine what if he fights Tim Elliott? He's going to get dominated by Tim Elliott. Mokayev's going to sub him. Tatsuru subbing him up. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that needs some more back-end talent. Altamirano. I'm saying Altamirano from now on. I'm sorry. You guys shitting on me in the comments about the pronunciation. I'm Italian. I'm saying Italian style. Altamirano, he's a tough dude. He's got a good chin. His wrestling solid. He times takedowns well. I thought he could have got it on the decision, and I picked Dos Santos to win. I thought he'd be a most confident pick, and I guess he was. He was a parlay piece for many, and he came through, thankfully. But not a great performance in showing. His takedown defense needs work, and he also needs work on his get-ups. He can be put on his back, and like some of these hard-nosed, better wrestlers, they're going to give Dos Santos a lot of problems as he moves up the ranks. So let's take our time with the 23-year-old. Next fight on the card, Ronaldo Rodríguez versus Dennis Bondar. Ronaldo Rodríguez put it on Bondar later in the fight with this rear naked choke. First round, Bondar looked solid, and he was finding shots on Rodríguez. But something that I love about Rodríguez is he just has that dog mentality where there's no stopping this guy. He keeps coming forward. You hit him with a good shot, he's going to smile at you. He wants the punishment, and he has a really good chin. He has a type of style, scrambly on the ground, scrappy on the feet. He's like a Mexican Clay Guida at flyweight right now. I actually think there's a lot of potential on Rodríguez. I'm calling it that he's going to be on the roster for a long while, and I think he'll become like a staple flyweight. I think he'll falter as he gets to the higher levels because, you know, the technicality or the dog, but I think like a Clay Guida-like career is what's coming. That's what I'm feeling for Ronaldo Rodríguez, and I'm excited for every damn part of it. Bondar's getting cut from the UFC. 3 losses in a row. Late rear naked choke by Ronaldo Rodríguez in that second round. We had a second left, but Bondar was going to go to sleep, so he had to tap. Rodríguez landed some good punches on the inside, too. I like his boxing in close range. I like his chin a lot. I like his forward pressure. I think he times decent takedowns. He's a good scrambler on the floor. It was a good performance for the 24-year-old. Welcome to the UFC. I'm excited for what's next. I'm a fan. We followed him on Instagram on the stream. I think it's lazyboy.ufc. Damn, now I don't know off the top of my head. Do we link his Instagram? Am I blessing him? I am. What is his damn IG? Lazyboy.mma. Lazyboy.mma. Check them out. Lazyboy.mma. Or I think it's .ufc now. That's why that link's old. It's .ufc. Check them out. Let's keep running. Next fight, Ziam versus Claudio Puelles. Listen, Puelles was landing the submissions and getting it to the floor, but I think because they did train together, it was like Ziam was prepared for the offensive attack that Puelles was going to employ. Then in the third round, Ziam won. Like, Claudio Puelles, I'm giving up on him. I came into this fight saying I think Puelles can lock up a sub, and then when early takedown landed, early groundwork, I'm like, okay, Puelles is going to lock him up. And like, there was moments where he had the back, he had close attempts for a rear naked, but just nothing was there. Even on top, going for Kimuras. This is reminiscent of what the judges were looking for. They were looking for a fighter that was looking to do damage with striking, not just control positions and shoot submission attempts. Puelles was active with a lot of sub attempts, but didn't do much damage on the ground, and that's what ultimately cost him the split decision. I thought Ziam, like, it makes sense for him to get the win. You could have gave it to Puelles with the takedowns and control, though. But if it's purely looking for damage, there was a bit more by Ziam and a lot more strikes landed, even Ziam having control time of his own. So, like, I think the right guy got the win at the end of it. I know it was a split decision. Puelles, the submission game, late in the fight, he was gassed, getting punched in the face. Ziam's a solid prospect, and Puelles is kind of like a one-trick pony. And when he can't find the sub, he'll gas and get punched up. Next fight was Edgar Cháirez and Daniel Lacerda. Guys, let's say goodbye to Daniel Lacerda, my man. Lacerda, I picked you early in your UFC run a lot, but I realized that you are a flight risk. For whatever reason, Daniel Lacerda has the athletic tools and the potential on paper, but when he actually fights, it falls apart. And Cháirez locked him in a triangle earlier. Quick tap. Lacerda tapped out quick as hell. Cháirez by sub again. He subbed him last time, but it was a no contest because it was stopped early, but the sub was in. And then he gets subbed this time with his lightning quick triangle, and the fight is over in 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Lacerda on top got locked in the sub, and it was like no defense. Quick tap, and he was done. Lacerda's just not that guy, unfortunately, man. Edgar Cháirez's sub game is pretty nasty. It's pretty legit. I mean, he almost tapped Tatsuru, so I got to give the dude mad respect on the ground, and I predicted the sub. Like, there's no surprise with the outcome here. I think Lacerda actually did a little worse than I thought he would have, so yeah, he's getting released, man. Next fight on the card was Jesus Aguilar versus Mateus Mendonça. Aguilar ended up winning the split decision, but man, Mendonça had successful takedowns and grappling moments. Aguilar was throwing hard shots. Like, it was pretty close throughout the whole thing. Not like a significant lead on either side. But I was thinking after the third round that Mendonça was probably getting the decision. But they gave it to Aguilar in a split. These judges were really not just awarding control time at all. They were looking for strikes being landed. Aguilar had a couple of moments in the fight, like looking back and reminiscing. I'm trying to think of it. I had a long day, man. I watched over 20 fights throughout the whole day, from PFL versus Bellator to this UFC card. At the end of it, I know I thought the Mendonça probably had it, but Aguilar gets it, and I predicted Aguilar as an underdog, so I guess I was happy for that fact, and it was in Mexico City. I thought Mendonça edged him by a little bit, by a tad. But Aguilar wins it. I don't think either of these guys have, like, championship potential or anything. They're both going to be more in the back end tier. I mean, Mendonça's 0-3 in the UFC. They'll probably give him one more shot because they like shoot their box Diego Lima guys. But he's just not all that good. He looks a lot better than he actually is. Even though he probably deserved the win here, it was a controversial split decision that went to Aguilar. So we'll give Mendonça one more, but my expectations for him are on the very low side. Aguilar's scrappy. He's a journeyman. He's going to be tough. I mean, he's 10-2. You're like, bro, he's not a journeyman right now. Well, you'll see. You'll see. Next fight on the card was Raoni Barcelos versus Cristian Quiñonez. Early, Barcelos looked very good. He touched up Quiñonez, but Quiñonez started having moments in the fight. Then it looked like he was on his way to taking over. He started touching up Barcelos, landing takedowns, controlling a bit in the clinch. Big shots were starting to land in the second round, and like Quiñonez was looking like the problema that he is, and it seemed like he was on his way to win. And then one simple mistake in the third round with his back getting taken, he ends up getting strangled. And that was the fight. It was over. Rear naked choke. Done in round 3. Comeback finish. But you can't give up a susceptible spot like that and give an opportunity to an experienced vet like Barcelos, who is very good. Yeah, he's 36 and he's past his prime. Yeah, he got to the UFC late. But he still reminds me at times of Jose Aldo in the striking. He has decent moments. In his grappling, specifically the jits game, is always solid. He locked up that rear naked. Quiñonez has a weakness to rear naked chokes. He's susceptible to him. Last time with Kang, too. Now with Barcelos here. Barcelos keeps his career alive. He wins when things were looking bad. He was on his way to losing. It seemed like he was going to lose the fight. Comeback win at 36. It keeps him relevant. It keeps him in the league. Keeps him in the UFC. Good W for him. Unfortunate for the Mexican people because Quiñonez was looking nasty in the striking. Next fight brings us to our main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. This was my lock of the week, Manuel Torres. So you know I was happy as shit with him getting the win by sub. Now, I did predict a knockout, but the lock was just a straight money line, and it came to fruition beautifully. 3 locks in a row. We're 16, 4, and 1 over the last 21 weeks with the lock, so I'm pretty damn happy. Manuel Torres got cracked early by Chris Duncan, but then it went to the ground, and Torres started bullying Duncan in the clinch, dragged him down in a freaking arm triangle headlock position, locked up the sub like a savage. Rear naked chokes galore tonight. Manuel Torres is really legit. He's got great length. He's very strong. He's got legit power, and he's got a strong chin. 28. He's a Mexican prospect they're going to build, man. He's got a good vibe, too, on the microphone. He's definitely a Mexican fighter on the come up. He's got big star potential. Called out Patty, called out the top 20, called out the top 10. He's moving on up towards the ranks, but I don't know about yet. Beating Chris Duncan, to me, doesn't earn you a ranked contender. Chris Duncan is a few steps out of that. For Manuel Torres, do we go crazy? Do we give him Michael Johnson? That'd be risky as fuck giving him Michael Johnson. What happens if he loses to Michael Johnson? But he could chin Johnson. I don't know what they're going to do next with Manuel. But either way, I'm excited to watch it because as a fan, he's got a sick style that is violence-based. You have to tune in to a fighter like him. Definitely a guy to build with this Mexico market. Next fight on the card was Yazmin Jauregui versus Sam Hughes. And Jauregui was on point throughout the whole thing. She out-kickboxed Sam Hughes. I don't want to say easily, but with relative ease. She touched her up. Sam Hughes was trying to throw back, but Jauregui was way faster, way more precise. Better from the outside. Just a better fighter. Stopped every takedown attempt. And Jauregui got the win. She's minus 600 as a favorite, as I thought she would. But there was a percentage of people, 6% only here. But betting-wise, there was a lot of people that jumped on Sam Hughes as a dog because she's scrappy, and she is scrappy. But Jauregui's just way better. And there's no moment where Sam Hughes is going to take advantage because Jauregui's not that flawed of a fighter. She's only 24. The potential is very, very, very bright. I think Yazmin Jauregui's got a bright future in the UFC. At 24, calculated and technical the way she is, she's going to be real good. I look forward for more. Next fight on the card, Daniel Zellhuber and Francisco Prado in what was an absolute banger. Prado early had moments in the striking. His hands are heavy as hell. And he was throwing bombs. He touched Zellhuber a bit, but Zellhuber's finding his range. Second round, Zellhuber's jab explodes Prado's eye. And it looked like Rocky. I feel like I was watching the Rocky movie. That's how Prado's face looked. It looked like he had makeup on. That's how beaten up he was. It's not common these days to see destructive faces like that in MMA. We see it a lot in BKFC, but this was even worse than a lot of that. Zellhuber destroyed Francisco Prado in the striking department. Then when he found his range and rhythm, he was flowing beautifully. Kickboxing up Prado from the outside, touching him from range, found jabs, found kicks to the body, kicks to the legs. I think Zellhuber looked nasty as fuck. He's got a crazy frame for this weight class too. 6'1" to 5'11". It's funny, I was on Twitter right after the card, and I saw Guru was shitting on Zellhuber, saying, oh, you're 6'1". If you were in prison, you'd be bent over being 155 pounds. Listen, 6'1", he's walking around at probably 180. I think he's laying out most dudes, under 240 pounds, especially on the streets. Zellhuber's knocking out any average prisoner. And I think that he's a damn problem because Prado's a savage, and he hits really hard, but Zellhuber pretty much countered everything and beat the shit out of him for most of the fight. Zellhuber had the breakout performance. That's what it was here, the breakout performance, because Prado's solid, and he beat the hell out of Prado. And he's proven that you got to give him somebody nasty, I think, next. He's 24, though, so we got to hold him back a little bit. That's the biggest thing is the age, right? When I see a fighter that's under 27, 26 even, it's like, man, to give him a ranked fight, like they got to be looking good. Yeah, so Huber's developing nicely, and I think the future's real bright. But do they want to risk the Stallion against somebody ranked up next just because a 3-fight win streak? Yeah, it's impressive, but the Trey Ogden loss was still there, even though that fight was shit, man. That was weird as fuck. Ogden's not good. Prado, he's fun to watch. He's only 21. Got kids fighting in this one. These guys are younger than me. For Zell Huber, I like what I'm looking at. For Prado, I like his style too. I think he's always going to be fun. And I don't know, man. I think he is the Argentine Drew Dober. I think he's only 21 years of age, though, so give him some time. Zell Huber, good win, good striking, precise as hell. And when he finds his range and rhythm, he's on point as fuck. Next fight was the co-main event. Brian Ortega pulled off a massive upset against Yair Rodríguez. I guess not massive because the odds were kind of close, but it was a big upset. I mean, 84% to 16%, that's a massive upset as far as what the masses of people thought was going to happen. Yair Rodríguez early was having great striking success, but then Ortega finishing the first round in full mount, the worry hit. It's like, man, he's live as hell when they hit the ground. Then in round 2, he controlled in the grappling, and he beat the shit out of Yair from top, cut him up with elbows. Third round, the grappling is flowing nicely. Ortega lands the takedown, and you know Yair's in trouble. You knew it was done. Arm triangle is in. Yair's tapping out. Brian Ortega's not stopping as the ref's doing. I'm like, what are you trying to kill him? Granted, he said it was a mistake after. The commentary didn't talk about it. I guess because it wasn't a joint submission. It wasn't as big of a deal. It's not like he snapped Yair's arm after Yair had been tapping out. Then we might be looking at a DQ. But because, you know, we had a late hold on the arm triangle, we can't hate too much. Ortega's chin is still iron. His mentality's better than ever. We were shitting on him. A lot of people in chat throughout all the live streams in the week were saying, man, Ortega with this Eagle story, he got it off TikTok. He's delusional. Well, damn, he proved everybody wrong. Ortega's still got a lot left in the tank. And at 33, his toughness is still out of this world. We're in an interesting spot where, what, are we going to give Movsar Evloev next, the contender? I don't really want to see that. Are we going to rematch Max Holloway? Is he going to fight the Calvin Kattar Sterling winner? No. Where I think he's headed is a fight with Ilia Topuria. I think Volkanovski should sit one out. I don't even want to see Volkanovski rematch Topuria right now because he's going to get chinned. But I think that Brian Ortega does have an interesting style to present Ilia Topuria. Now, I don't love the chances. The way Ortega gets punched in the face striking, now you give me a guy like Topuria with that much power, I think he might destroy and, you know, fracture the jaw of Brian Ortega. But nonetheless, still, that's probably the fight to make next. For Yair Rodríguez, he's out of the title picture now. He'll still get a big fight moving forward. I don't know, could be somebody along the lines of Calvin Kattar. That could be an interesting fight for him. We'll see what plays out with that UFC 300 card. Give the featherweight division some time to unfold. Even an Arnold Allen fight for Yair would be absolutely sick in a main event. He's still going to be in huge spots. It's just Brian Ortega, man. He exposed that grappling game of Yair, which I guess it continues to be a slight issue against these real savage grapplers. Ortega, great performance. And I was impressed with his takedowns and control too, man. And then when he got that sub, badass. Great comeback career-wise, and I'm looking forward to Brian Ortega's next fight. Main event. If you guys haven't, make sure you smash the likes and if you're new, subscribe. I was disappointed. Like, even though I picked Yair, I wasn't really per se disappointed with Ortega winning because I was happy for him to get it done. It's not that I hate Royval. It's just he already just had a title shot and lost. And now, flyweight, what are we doing? Royval versus Pantoja 2 now? That's the next booking? I mean, I guess so. Manuel Cop can't fucking get a fight to save his life. He'd probably be next in line if he would have won recently. Brandon Royval threw over 400 strikes to Moreno's like 150. There was way more activity for Royval. Pretty much throughout the whole thing, he just didn't stop punching. He was able to stop Moreno's wrestling. He got hit with some wide shots by Moreno. But Brandon Royval definitely won the fight at the end of it. There's no robbery here. It was a split decision, but it was pretty much a clean win for Royval. I know there's a lot of people that might have some love for Moreno and be calling it for him. I picked him here. And I was excited for him here. I really thought he would pull it off. But Royval was touching him up from range, landing way more, throwing a lot of strikes, keeping him at bay, making him fail on takedown attempts, fail in grappling spots. Brandon Royval looked really good in this fight. But it's like, does this warrant an immediate title fight? I don't really care to see Pantoja Royval 3 right out the gate next time out. It's not a rematch. It'd be a fucking trilogy. But that might be what has to happen looking at the weight class. Because with Brandon Royval beating Moreno, Moreno's that true #1 contender. He's right in that staple spot. Yeah, that's interesting. Moreno Royval 3 is a high probability. I'm not saying they're going to do it immediately, but I think the chances that we see these guys fight again before they retire is honestly pretty damn high. I'm going to predict that we see them face off another time. Royval's volume was the biggest difference maker, mixed in with his improved grappling defense and the fact that he was stunning Moreno. Moreno wasn't really able to get a jab going. He was landing some looping shots. They were good punches, but nothing overly impressive. Had some takedowns, but didn't do a lot of damage from top. And Brandon Royval, tricky as always. He's saying he's going to stop the takedowns next time to Pantoja. Royval, in a sense, he turned like a slight savage heel, which I was impressed by. I'm like, okay, Royval, he's on the mic a little meaner than normal. He's really, for the most part, a pretty nice dude. But I like that he turned a little edge to us and showed us he's got that dog in him too, more than just in the cage, but even outside of it. He can bark a little bit. He was getting into it with Pantoja a bit after from a distance. They're probably doing Royval Pantoja 3 next. It is what it is. I guess I'm just accepting that that's what's next. It's not like Royval is completely out of the fight. His volume is good. He said nobody beats me 3 times. You know, he said that earlier in the week. So I guess he's feeling confident that if he does face off with Pantoja again, he'll finally have the formula to pull out a W over him. But hey, Moreno got beat 3 times by Pantoja. But granted, the way that Royval beat Moreno this time, I think was like more convincing than the way Pantoja beat Moreno last time. Now, I know that Pantoja just beat Royval, but for the most part, it was landing those late takedowns. He was looking slow on the feet at times. And if Royval can stop those takedowns, the volume and striking that he showed here, and he can do that in Mexico City at high altitude, he can definitely do that anywhere else in the world. I think Royval is actually a bit of a threat to Pantoja. I guess we're rebooking the fight again. We're doing a trilogy. We're doing Royval, Pantoja 3 up next. Because what else are we going to do? Manel Kape's not getting a shot. That's just how flyweight's looking right now. Unfortunately, at flyweight, we get a lot of rinse, repeat, and recycle fights. We've had quadrilogies. We've had trilogies. It's just how it goes in the flyweight division. There's a lot of fighters facing off time and time again. For Royval, it's probably a title shot for Moreno. Interesting spot, man. Very interesting spot. Does he fight a prospect on the come up that's looking to emerge as a contender, or do we just do the right thing? Amir Albazi, Brandon Moreno, we rebooked that. If Albazi's willing to wait a little bit, I'd be open to those two facing off again. I mean, a Kai Kara France fight again, that could happen. That wouldn't blow my mind. But I kind of like that Albazi matchup. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Nonetheless, Brandon Royval, he won the main event. What was an upset statistically? 8% of the people picking fucking Royval. Odds-wise, he was a big underdog. And he was a big underdog with a hard motherfucking bite. I was impressed with Brandon Royval a lot. So congrats to him getting the dub and probably another title fight. Now, as far as the predictions on this card, 9 wins and 3 losses. Started with a W with Naimov, W with Dos Santos, W with Ronaldo Rodríguez, L with Puelles over Ziam. I tried to chase this up. Granted, I'm not even that disappointed with the pick because the fight wasn't impressive on either side. Win with Cháirez over Lacerda, win with Aguilar over Mendonça, win with Barcelos over Quiñonez, win with Torres over Duncan, win with Rodríguez over Hughes, win with Zelhuber over Prado, loss with Yair to Ortega, lost with Moreno to Royval, the battle of Brandons. Even at the end of the fight, they say Brandon. Moreno's like, oh, I won. And then it was obviously Brandon Royval. Yeah, it was sad to see Brandon Moreno take an L, but he'll be back. It was actually more sad that we didn't get a post-fight interview for Brandon Moreno. So the fucking disrespect. What the hell, UFC? Give the guy a post-fight in Mexico City. Those are his people. Respect to Royval, though, cutting his promo nicely and shooting for another title shot. I don't blame him. He did it right. It was a good card. I really enjoyed a lot of the prelims. They were fun. It was solid. I mean, for a fight night card, it's in the 8s, man. I feel like an asshole if I don't score it at least like an 8-5, 8-6 even. There was good fights. Fight of the night, probably Zellhuber Prado, but it was more of a beating. But I feel like that's probably the way it ends up going. Performance of the night bonus. I'm giving Brian Ortega something. Manuel Torres something. You might even give Barcelos a little something too. You might end up giving Royval Moreno fight of the night honors, especially because it was the damn main event and they went after it. But I don't know. This Zellhuber Prado fight was sick. But Brandon Royval Moreno did scrap to the very end. Royval Moreno's the real fight of the night, but Zellhuber, I'd give him like half the pay, because he beat up Prado pretty good. Good fight, though. Good card. I was happy with it. We're back to the Apex next week. I'm back with full card predictions. I guess today, really, because it's already Sunday, February 25th, but it's just 1:47 a.m. Hope you guys enjoyed the recap show. Make sure you smash the likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Keep it locked in. Daily content on the channel. You don't want to miss it. Looking forward to dropping everything for next week's UFC card, so keep your eyes locked in right here. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you got nothing to say, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.